First level, $0. You have nothing saved, maybe even negative. You wake up and the first thing you check is not your messages. It's your bank account. Not because you want to, because you have to. Because somewhere in the back of your brain, something is always running a number, always calculating, always asking the same quiet question, do I have enough? And the answer, most mornings, is barely. This is what zero looks like. Not dramatic, not a movie, just a low hum of dread that follows you through every single day. You walk into a grocery store and you do math in your head while you shop, not because you enjoy math, because you cannot afford to get to the register and be short. So you put things back, quietly, hoping nobody notices. You buy the store brand because the difference is $1.60, and $1.60 matters right now. You know exactly how much is in your account, not approximately, exactly. You have a job, maybe two, but working at this level doesn't feel like building something. It feels like running on a treadmill that someone else controls the speed on. You work to pay rent. You pay rent to keep working. And somewhere in that loop, the idea of getting ahead starts to feel like a joke that everyone else is in on except you. You eat out not because you enjoy it, but because you are too exhausted after a shift you cannot afford to lose to stand over a stove. So you grab something fast and cheap, and you eat it in the car or at a counter, and you scroll your phone because that is the only free thing left. Sleep is broken, not every night, but enough nights that you feel it in your body. You lie there and you run the numbers. The rent is due on the 1st. The car insurance comes out on the 15th. You forgot about the subscription you never canceled. 3 more weeks until the next paycheck. The math doesn't work. It never quite works. And your brain will not let you stop doing it. The relationships around you start to carry the weight too. You cancel plans because you can't afford to go. You say you're tired because that is easier than saying the truth. Dates become stressful, birthdays become stressful. Even something as simple as a friend's wedding 3 states away becomes a problem you have to solve, instead of a moment you get to enjoy. Money doesn't just drain your account, it drains the version of you that used to have patience, the version that could be present, the version that had room to give something to other people. This is the level most people start at, and a lot of people stay here far longer than they ever planned. But then something shifts. $5,000 saved. It doesn't sound like much, but the morning you cross that number, something in your body actually changes. Because for the first time in maybe years, you are not one bad day away from a crisis. A tire blues out on the highway, and instead of the immediate flood of panic, instead of furiously calculating what you can delay and who you can call and whether this ruins the month, you pull over, you call the tow truck, and you handle it, just like that, because you can. $5,000 does not make you rich, but it makes you safe in a way that most people at zero cannot even imagine yet. You stop checking your balance out of fear, and you start checking it out of something that almost feels like curiosity. Let me see where I'm at. That is a different relationship with money entirely. You still live paycheck to paycheck mostly, but now there's a cushion, a small wall between you and the edge, and that wall changes how you sleep. You lie down at night and the numbers are still there, but they are quieter, less urgent, because the worst case scenario just got significantly less bad. You start saying yes to small things you used to say no to, not recklessly, but a dinner out that you actually enjoy. A thing your kid needs for school that you just buy instead of agonizing over. A birthday gift that feels good to give. The version of you that shows up every day starts to change because the background noise of dread has dropped. Not disappeared, but dropped. And you realize for the first time just how much energy that noise was costing you every single day. $25,000. Now the game starts to actually change. Because now you have something more valuable than money. You have options. And options are a form of power that most people never stop to name. Think about what $25,000 actually gives you. It gives you 4, maybe 5 months of full living expenses if everything stopped tomorrow. That is 4 to 5 months to figure it out, to breathe, to look for something better without taking the first thing that comes along out of desperation. So you walk into work differently now. Your boss says something that crosses a line, and instead of swallowing it because you need the check, you have the quiet knowledge that you could leave. You might not leave today, but you could. And that knowledge sits behind your eyes in every conversation, and it changes the way you carry yourself. People can feel that energy. Employers can feel it. And ironically, the person who can afford to walk away is usually the last person anyone wants to lose. You start qualifying for better financial products, lower interest rates on loans, better credit card terms, better insurance options. The system is genuinely set up to reward people who already have money with cheaper access to more money. So at $25,000, the compounding advantage starts here. Not dramatically yet, but the door is opening. You also start to see yourself differently, and this part is important. You stop being someone who is trying to get money, and you start being someone who has money. That identity shift sounds like a small thing. It is not a small thing. It changes what you believe you deserve. It changes what you ask for. It changes every financial decision you will make for the rest of your life. $100,000. This is the real inflection point. The number where everything you've been told about money starts to actually become real. Because at $100,000, compound interest is no longer a concept. It's a check you didn't have to earn. Your money is generating $8,000, $9,000, maybe $10,000 a year just for being in the right place. Think about that. $10,000. That's a flight to Japan and a week in Tokyo. That's 4 months of groceries. That's a car repair, a medical bill, and a vacation with money left over. And you did not work for it. Your past self worked for it. The you from 2 years ago made a decision, and the you today is collecting the result. You start thinking in years instead of weeks. You start making career decisions differently because when financial pressure decreases, your brain gets access to longer timelines. You can take the role that pays a little less but builds the skills that matter. You can turn down the desperate move. You can invest in yourself because you have the margin to absorb the short-term cost of growth. You also start paying attention to things you used to ignore. Tax efficiency, index funds, retirement accounts. Not because they are exciting, because at this level they actually start to move the needle and you can feel it. $250,000. Something happens at this number that is hard to explain until you actually feel it. You can see financial independence, not as a fantasy, not as a thing that happens to people who got lucky or started rich or made some genius investment at 22, but as a math problem. A solvable, specific, dated math problem. You can actually sit down with a spreadsheet and say, at this rate, with this contribution, at this return, I reach financial independence in this many years, and the date is real. It exists. It has a number attached to it. So you stop performing. And I mean that in a very specific way. You stop buying things to signal to other people that you're doing okay, because you know you're doing okay. You don't need the new car in the driveway to prove it. You don't need the watch. You don't need the vacation photos that are really for other people's feeds more than your own memory. Your spending becomes genuinely intentional. You buy experiences that matter to you. You spend on things that improve your actual daily life. And you stop spending on things that are really just anxiety management disguised as reward. The social dynamic around money starts to shift too. You stop feeling quietly ashamed in rooms full of successful people. You stop feeling secretly envious in a way that used to drain you because you were on the path. Not at the destination, but on the path. And people who are genuinely on the path carry themselves differently. There's a steadiness that comes from knowing where you're going. $500,000. Let's be very clear about what $500,000 actually means for your daily life, because this is a number where freedom stops being a concept and starts being a practical reality. If you live in a mid-sized American city, or almost anywhere in Southeast Asia, Eastern Europe, Latin America, or most of the world outside of major metro centers, you could stop working a traditional job right now and the math would work. You could withdraw 3 to 4% a year, roughly $15,000 to $20,000, and cover your costs in a lot of places. Add a little freelance work, a little consulting, something you actually enjoy, and you are completely financially independent right now at $500,000. Most people at this level don't do that, and that's fine. But the knowing changes everything. You walk into work on Monday morning and you are there because you want to be there, because you believe in what you're building, because you like the people, because the work matters to you, not because you're afraid of what happens if you don't show up. That's a completely different person doing the same job. You negotiate differently. You set boundaries differently. You leave meetings that are a waste of your time. You say no to projects that don't excite you. You stop tolerating things that you used to tolerate because the cost of not tolerating them was too high. Your relationship with time starts to change too. You begin to understand that time is the actual asset, not money. Money is just how you buy time back. So you start spending it more deliberately. You hire someone to clean the house, not because you can't clean, but because 3 hours on a Saturday afternoon is worth more than the cost of outsourcing it.
$1 million. The number, the one. And here is what nobody ever really prepares you for. The feeling is quieter than you expected. You cross 1 million and the confetti does not fall. The world does not look different when you open your eyes the next morning. Your coffee tastes the same, your body feels the same. The same things make you laugh and the same things annoy you. And for a moment that can genuinely catch people off guard, you think, is that it? But then the quiet sets in, not the anxious quiet of $0, a different kind of quiet, a peace. Because here is what $1 million actually means practically. The 4% rule, which is the most widely accepted framework for sustainable withdrawals from a portfolio, says you can take out $40,000 a year from $1 million and never touch the principal, ever. In many cities, in most of the world, $40,000 a year is a real life, a simple one, a modest one, but a real one without ever working again. In expensive cities, it is tight, but pair it with any part-time work you actually enjoy and the life opens up considerably. You stop making financial decisions out of fear entirely. You take the trip, not the cheap version of the trip, the trip. You upgrade the flight because your back has been hurting for 2 years and you are done with middle seats. You take your parents to dinner and you pick up the check without thinking about it. You say yes to the thing that costs money but creates a memory. And you do all of this not recklessly, but from a place of genuine choice, because you have bought yourself the most valuable thing that exists, time. Unscheduled, unpressured, yours to spend however you want, time. $5 million. Now we're talking about a different category of life entirely. $5 million generating 4% is $200,000 a year, every year without touching the money itself. Think about what $200,000 a year actually looks like as a life. You fly business class on long hauls because the sleep matters and the back matters, and you are done pretending it doesn't. You live where you actually want to live, not where you can afford to live. You eat at the restaurants you want without doing the menu math. Your children's college education is not a source of stress. It's handled. You contribute to it. You fund it. Done. You start thinking about health differently because you have the resources to take it seriously. The good doctor, not just the one your insurance covers. The trainer, the sleep specialist, the annual blood work panel that catches things early. You realize that the body is the actual vehicle for everything, and you start treating it like one worth maintaining. Travel becomes a regular part of life, not a reward you have to earn. You go to Japan in the spring, not because you saved up for 3 years, but because you wanted to go and you went. You bring your family, you stay somewhere beautiful, you eat well. You come home and you feel like you've actually lived something. But something else happens at $5 million that is worth naming honestly. The internal pressure that drove you, that kept you sharp and hungry and pushing, that pressure starts to loosen. And for a lot of people, that is disorienting, because the motivation that felt like yours was partly fear, financial fear. And when the fear leaves, some people find the silence on the other side genuinely difficult. The question of what am I actually for without the chase becomes real. The people who answer it well are the ones who are building towards something all along, not just away from something. The ones who always had a why beyond the number. Those people thrive at $5 million. The ones who only had the number, they sometimes feel lost in a way that surprises them completely. $10 million. You have left the game. Not life, not work if work still means something to you, but the money game specifically, the one that started with that first anxious morning checking your balance. You are out of it, fully and permanently. Because $10 million generating even a conservative 3% is $300,000 a year. You could live extraordinarily on that. You could live simply and give the rest away. You could fund something, build something, support people you believe in. The money is now genuinely just a tool, not a goal, not a measure of your worth, not the thing your identity is quietly organized around, just a tool you pick up when you need it. Your daily life looks like this. You wake up without an alarm most days. You have coffee somewhere you like, unhurried. Your mornings are yours. You exercise because your body is the one thing you cannot replace, and you have finally stopped being too busy to take care of it. Your work, if you work, is chosen entirely. You consult on the things you are genuinely expert in. You advise. You build the thing that actually interests you. You say no to everything else. Your social life narrows but deepens. You have fewer relationships, but they are more honest. The people around you are there because of who you are, not what you control or what access you represent. You think about legacy now, not as an abstract concept. Specifically, what do you want to have stood for? What do you want to have built that outlasts you? What do you want the people who knew you to say? You give money away, not performatively, but quietly, to causes that actually matter to you, to people in your family who are still at zero and need the wall between them and the edge. You remember what zero felt like. You do not forget it. And here is what almost everyone at 10 million eventually says, unprompted, in different words from wildly different lives and paths and backgrounds. They say, I wish I had worried less during the years I was building it. I wish I had been more present with the people around me while I was climbing. I wish I had understood sooner that the anxiety was never actually about the money. The money was just what the anxiety attached itself to, because before the money it was something else. And for some people, even after the money, it finds something else. The number was never the thing. It was never going to be the thing. But right now, somewhere, someone is lying awake doing the math. Rent on the 1st, car on the 15th, 3 weeks until the next check. And they think, if I could just get to 1 million, if I could just get there, everything would feel different. And they're right, and they're wrong, and the only way to find out is to start.